What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode here of the BlockHash Podcast, your number one resource for all that is happening across the emerging tech space. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you listen to or watch the show. Today, I'm joined by another wonderful guest, Billy. He's the founder of Intuition. We're going to talk about Intuition today and learn a bit more about what they're doing here in 2025. Billy, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on. How you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. It's a busy time, but yeah, it's a good busy. So appreciate you having me on. Excited to chat.
Yeah, it's a very busy time. We just came out of summer into September now, and things are about to crank back up pretty quickly. So I imagine for you on your end as well, things are very busy, just like they are for me. And would love to learn about some of those things that are keeping you busy. I guess the best way to kick it off, maybe tell me a bit about yourself and maybe your background, what interested you in this space in particular, and Web3, and maybe what made you want to kind of be a part of it. And then again, kind of how that also eventually led to the inception of Intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is there's two parallel backgrounds that I think are important to note. So one is I did my undergrad in systems engineering, and my first job ever just randomly happened to be working on this distributed seismic network at Caltech with the United States Geological Survey Office. That was in 2012. And so I got super early exposure to distributed systems. So we're using BOINC, which was the Berkeley Open Infrastructure for Network Computing, which is what like SETI at home uses, that people like connect their computers together to try to like talk to aliens or whatever. There's a bunch of distributed things being built back then. So got exposure to general distributed systems that way. And then tangentially, I played a lot of video games. And so I played a lot of RuneScape. I played a lot of Blizzard games like Diablo and World of Warcraft. And one, I understood the value of scarcity thanks to RuneScape. And then two, I love to bot in, Blizzard, but I love botting in those video games. So it just play basically the computer would play the game for me and level me up and get me items, and I'd come back to my computer and my character would be way better. And for some reason, I just love that feeling. And so like distributed systems plus crypto, I was like, oh, I can have, my computer mine these Bitcoins for me that are worth real money. I just loved that feeling. So, I was initially doing it on just shitty consumer hardware, and then I built my own mining rigs that were also like very shoddily built. So I was never like a big time miner, but I was mining very early. And then ended up becoming a financial services technology consultant at Ernst & Young. And I helped build the blockchain consulting practice there. And that was like 2014, 2015, was their tech lead for a while, was in San Francisco. Luckily was, talking to people about Bitcoin at this hacker house party. And the Ethereum white paper had just come out. And this guy was like, oh, had you heard about this thing, Ethereum? And he explained it in a very good way. I'm happy to explain it that way if you'd like, but I won't bore you with that story right now. But he explained it in a way that just immediately resonated with me. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the future. And I just ended up going home. This was March of 2014, because I'd have the Apple Note in my phone still that says Ethereum, look this up. And it went back, and Vitalik was speaking at the first Ethereum meetup in Silicon Valley at the Hacker Dojo the next week. And I was like, guys, this guy Vitalik's going to be here. We got to go down to the Hacker Dojo and hear him talk and see what's going on. And so drove these guys down, met all of the most interesting people I had ever met, and I was immediately sold. So I've been working in the Ethereum space since then. It's been over a decade now, and so that was kind of my foray in. And I guess I kind of glossed over the financial services consulting part. Basically, like I got a peek behind the curtain of all the big banks, and I was like, oh my God, this is how you guys are doing stuff. It's the COBOL mainframe from 1960. This isn't even salvageable. We got to build something different. Like we have to build a parallel system. And so while everyone else was, they would see the big buildings and the big pillars and say, oh yeah, you can't disrupt that. They're so entrenched. Like they got their shit together so much. You're never going to be able to take on that. I was the opposite, where I was like, these guys have no idea what's going on. There's so much bloat, there's so much inefficiency. It's so outdated that you can't even salvage it. We got to build something different, and this is the best thing that we have. So, yeah, I've just been sold ever since then. And then leading into how that led into intuition. So, I did a bunch of stuff. I joined ConsenSys after E&Y. I was there for 5 years full time, 3 years as a special advisor. Did a lot of stuff over that time, including a lot of decentralized identity verifiable data work, because I was working on that stuff. I was building some of the first identity POCs on Ethereum when I was at E&Y, and that led me to meet like the people working in the identity space in Ethereum. And ConsenSys was anyone building anything interesting in Ethereum was at ConsenSys at the time at the application layer. So ended up working on something called Uport, and so intuition architecturally is informed by all of that work that I had done on kind of the decentralized identity verifiable data space. But the place that it really came from was 2020 or so. I was doing a ton of angel investing advisory work, and my value prop to people was, hey, I've been in crypto for a very long time. Let me tell you who came before, who exists now, best practices, tooling. Oh, you're looking to hire someone, just connecting the dots for people, like getting the information to where it needed to be. And that was great. But then I had all these meetings all the time. And I was like, oh, I don't like the meetings. How can I disintermediate myself here? And so what I did was I took my crypto knowledge and put it into this visual knowledge graph that you could just kind of look at for yourself. So you didn't have to ask me so many questions. Like, oh, I need to know how to bridge from Ethereum to Avalanche. And then once I get to Avalanche, the AMM is no longer Uniswap and SushiSwap. It's like Trader Joe and Pangolin Swap. I didn't want to have to remember that. The people I was talking to wanted like a trusted way to do this stuff. So what ended up happening was I just started adding stuff to this knowledge graph for me. Like instead of taking it in my notes apps, I just started mapping stuff because I wanted to remember, because there's a million things, a new thing coming out every day. It's like, where do I put it? Let me put it here. And then it's useful for me, but it's also useful for everyone else. And I was like, the more I thought about it, the more like the thing that I was using just wasn't built for like global scale. It wasn't built for, everyone adding stuff. And the thought that I had was, okay, it's very interesting that it's my knowledge in this knowledge graph, but what if it was everyone's knowledge in the knowledge graph? And what if people were incentivized to add good data to the knowledge graph? Like that'd be pretty interesting. And I just got absolutely obsessed with this idea, wrote the white paper, this was like 4 years ago now, and started building it. And that's kind of where it came from. That's also where it's going. So it's this open, permissionless, decentralized knowledge graph composed of like incentivized attestations about things. And I'll pause there because that was very long-winded, but hopefully some of
No
it
worries.
makes sense.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, with this knowledge graph in mind, like what problems in particular do you guys want to try and solve through intuition? Is that like mainly around identity, data, oracles, or where does that line kind of get drawn in terms of what you want to focus on?
The main problem we want to solve is reducing the time to get the information you need when you need it from the sources you trust. So there's two ways that you do that right now. One way is online. So you search for stuff through centralized intermediaries like Google, and then you context switch across like 50 different platforms. It's like, if I'm shopping for a new chair, I'll do like best chair 2025, and then I'll get some results, and it'll be like a bunch of blog posts that are all gamified, by the way, because I know the people who gamify the SEO, they make hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and whoever pays them the most, they show up the top. So, okay, so I know that that's flawed. So that gives me some signal about which companies have some money. But then I'm like, okay, best chair 2025 Reddit comments, and then I like look at the Reddit thread, and I look at what people are saying, but I don't know who these people are, and then I like context switch across a bunch of different places, and I just spend way too much time doing research for everything. Like anytime I need to make a decision of like some consequence, I got to context switch. And then for stuff that there's a lot of stuff where the information isn't even online. So let's say I'm going to hire someone, or I'm going to invest in a project or something like that. I got to talk to a lot of people. Like the information's out there, it's just in people's heads. So I text like 35 people and annoy them, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this guy, or what do you think of this project? And again, like that's super inefficient. Like the data is not like very easy. I would love to just be able to like query and be like, okay, whose knowledge graph has information about this guy, and like what are they saying about him? And in like 1 second, maybe I do a micropayment and pay them for that piece of data, and then I get it or whatever. So it's just this inefficiency of information discovery, which is wasting a lot of our lives because the scale of society is just going exponential. There's infinitely more decisions we need to make, infinite more data, and we just can't crunch the data. And AI is helping, but you know, it's like slop in, slop out. You know, if AI is just ingesting the slop that's already online right now, and you're taking what you get, it's like, okay, should I hire this guy? It's like based on his tweets. Like I don't know. So there's just that's kind of the main problem that we're trying to solve.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting you bring up AI too. Like I always wonder like how it's actually reading the internet sometimes. Like we tell it to do something, but it doesn't always do what we expect it to do. And it's like, yeah, like you said, you put slop in, you might get slop out, um and I could see so many different issues with that. And we have seen so many different issues with that. Um but no, I think that's an interesting area too. Like I'd be curious, like if there's ways to maybe help users to maybe monetize their data a bit better, or to own their data per se, and then if they want to monetize it, or give it through incentivization to AI or to an LLM to use. Is that something you guys have also maybe explored as maybe like a potential application? It could be for AI, maybe for like advertisements, something like that. I could see a bunch of different use cases there.
100%. So that is also the main thing that we solve. So basically, I come from this decentralized identity world where we've had this attestation infrastructure for a long time where you can make claims about things. So you can claim anything about anything, and then you sign it with your crypto private key. So now it's verifiably attributable. It's like, oh yes, this definitely came from Billy.eth. No one's making claims about stuff. It's been 10 years. No people are making claims about things. Like some businesses, like WorldCoin does attestations, and they attest that you did your iris scan. That's about it. Like there's some KYC stuff, but it's all like the people who are doing it's like simple stuff, and it's businesses. No people are making claims about things. And if you look at Web 2 as a parallel, I've never written an Amazon review. I've never written a Yelp review. I've never done a LinkedIn endorsement. I do 5 stars on Uber every single time because I don't care. And if you look at the data, over 8% of people are not leaving reviews on these platforms. And then conversely, we're all using that data to make decisions every single day, including the AI. So how do you get people to want to express themselves more? And I think it's exactly what you said. It's incentives. It's incentive alignment. I don't say these things. I don't get anything for it. Why would I waste my time doing this if I don't get anything from it? And it's just the platform benefiting from it. So basically that's exactly what we allow you to do. So even down to like, you can replace pretty much any action it sounds crazy, but you can replace any action on the internet with like an intuition attestation. So a like of a tweet, or a like of a YouTube video, or a comment, or a review, or a 5 stars, or a page scroll, or whatever. Like let's take the YouTube video example, which is one that I like. Right now I watch the video, I'm like, oh, good video. Don't like it, I don't care. uh Next, in intuition world, I watch the video, I'm like, wow, this is content worth consuming, I think this could go viral. It only has 100 likes right now. I'm going to take an economic bet on the relevancy of the video by liking the video. And I can buy more than one like. I could buy 1,000 likes or 1,000,000 likes. So everything's on these bonding curves. So you can print like a song, an artist, a AI agent, a book, a podcast, a movie, whatever it is. You can like buy ownership in the relevancy of these things, and as other people kind of like discover it, you're making money from having curated this data set by saying, hey, this is something that I care about. And the nice part is you might just be doing that to keep track of stuff for you. So like the same action that is buying the shares on the bonding curve is bookmarking the thing. So it's like, oh, like I come across AI tool X. I want to, instead of adding it to my bookmarks that's browser specific, I save it to my intuition. I tag it with AI tooling. I'm getting tokens of this URL, and like the fact that it's tagged with AI tooling. So I'm getting like kind of ownership of this data. and then as other people also bookmark it, or the AI traverses it in a query and the data that I've created gets read, I make money from that. So now you're like incentivized to claim useful truths about things with money, but there's also the added incentive of maybe you just want to do it now because you commingle, organizing your own life, uh, getting the information to the people that you care about, and making money, and maybe building like a social reputation for someone who's like good at claiming useful things about things, maybe in a specific context. So it's like, oh, this guy keeps spotting the best books early. I'm going to follow him. Or this guy keeps finding the best podcast early. Instead of like a Twitter feed where it's just not suited for keeping track of stuff. Like I'm not going to, even if you're the big podcast guy, I'm not going to scroll through 3 years of your Twitter feed to figure out which podcast you like. It's not the right medium. So anyway, I'll stop talking so much, but yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, totally. No, there's definitely just a scattering of data that's out there, and it's impossible to really dial in and really get a good idea, especially if you're trying to build out like a really efficient like LLM. Like I use this ice cream example all the time. Like, if I could have a bunch of pictures out on the internet, right, or videos or whatever, context, vague context that maybe alludes to the fact that I had chocolate ice cream one time. And so you ask an LLM, and it's going to tell you that, oh, Brandon likes chocolate ice cream, and that's his favorite one to have on the BlockHash podcast. But in reality, maybe that isn't my favorite ice cream. Maybe it came from some video someone else took because we went to get ice cream. It's the only thing they had, and so I had it that one time, and so it's being associated out of context. And I think there needs to be a lot more of that kind of stuff built in to kind of better correlate the data. But no, that's just a small example, my ice cream example of like why it doesn't work today 100%. Like it's good, it's great. Like I see where it's all going, but there needs to be a better way to like, I sometimes say in the space, verify data or put it into healthier silos or not get it from these giant silos who knows where they came from. Yeah, there's still tons of issues of that in the space, and we can't talk about data without talking about identity too, because I think you got to be able to carry your data around with you and have it accessible cross-platform and cross-LLM and wherever you go, whatever website or wallet you connect it to. Is that something also that you guys are maybe working on, like in terms of making identity a bit more portable and accessible and I think universal, something you can just take with you and have verifiable?
That's exactly it. So both what you just said and what you just said right before that are inextricably intertwined. So your identity, the way that I view your identity is like all the things that you've said and then all the things that people have like said about you, or that's how we can interpret your identity online. And I'll address the first thing that you said first, because I don't want my identity to be composed of the algorithms trying to interpret what I've done online to like paint a picture of me. Sure, like you said, they're pretty good, but they're not great. And I know they're not great because I get all of my I live in Puerto Rico, all my advertisements are in Spanish. It's like, guys, like you're wasting your money because I don't speak Spanish. Like, can I just tell you what language I speak? Or like, I listen to sleep music when I go to sleep on Spotify, and then the next day my Discover Weekly is all sleep music. It's like, let me just tell you. And so, a question sometimes some like more uninformed investors ask us is like, how much data do you have? It's like, no, that's the wrong question. The question is, how good is the data that you have? Because I could have 1,000,000 terabytes of slop, and one data I could just tell you. Like you could have a trillion infinite terabytes of information about me, and that's less accurate than if you just say, hey, like what language do you speak? It's like, oh, it's English. Or like what ice cream flavor do you prefer? It's like, oh, ice cream. And I'm willing to tell you that because I want the best chocolate ice cream flavors in my area. Or I'm willing to tell you like, hey, I like surfing because I want to know the best new surfing gear or the best surfing spots or other people who like surfing. So I'm willing to tell you my preferences. I'm willing to express, obviously I'm not going to disclose my passport info, but I'm willing to disclose stuff that like might make my life better about my identity. And just let me tell you, instead of like this model of, oh, we're going to interpret these people's actions online as what they like. And the reason that's so flawed is because our actions online are filtered through the games that we're playing online. So when I'm on Twitter, I'm playing the game of Twitter. It's not my true identity; it's my Twitter identity. And when I'm on, Instagram, I'm playing the game of Instagram. Like, sure, there's like some truth behind that, but it's like filtered through the algorithm that I'm trying to game. It's like, oh, on Instagram, post pictures, and if I post pictures this way, then it gets more likes than if I post the pictures this way. So it's not a true representation of like my identity, actually, like my holistic inner state. So we want to incentivize people to express a little bit more about themselves. And then when they do the expression, it's not captured in these centralized servers of Amazon, Yelp, whatever. It's captured, one, on this big discoverable knowledge graph that you can kind of traverse. And then two, you still own it. So this is, I think, a really hard concept to grasp, but like the graph is a place where you kind of discover stuff, but it's still yours. And you can keep it private if you want to. And so with this, now that you have this kind of data discoverability layer, you unlock what you were saying before of everything across the web can be personalized. Like, you don't have to fill out your profile again. You don't have to create your social graphs again. You don't have to like join new communities. It's like, here's your identity, and you can bring it with you anywhere. And you can bring it with you actually anywhere. So I don't have an Amazon friends list, which is wild to me. Not that I would take the time to curate it, but I would love to take my Twitter social graph and my Instagram social graph and overlay it onto Amazon and say, oh, which people I trust have left reviews on these things. And one voice from one person I trust means more to me than 10,000 anonymous reviews. So you solve the bot problem not by like banning the bots, because they just keep getting more and more sophisticated. You solve the problem by surfacing the signal in the noise. And the way that you do that is you let people take their identities and their social graphs with them across contexts. So you can just like surface those voices when you need them.
Gotcha. And you also mentioned incentivization. I think that's another important part of this to talk about. Do you do that through your guys' trust token? And if so, like, how does that kind of operate in the Intuition ecosystem as an incentivization for users? And how can it be kind of utilized?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that you can utilize it, and I'll get the boring ones out of the way first. So one is it's the native gas token of our network. So if you want to like use Intuition Network for anything, even outside of like core Intuition protocol stuff, like we got like a bunch of builders just building regular things like DEXs or NFTs. Like, you got to use Trust as the gas token for that. It's also the protocol fee. So if you're interacting with the protocol, which is on the network, those fees are all in Trust. You can stake it to kind of like help maintain the network, just like, you think of general staking, and you can get yield from that. And then like the more interesting thing is like, as you express yourself in Intuition, you're putting your trust behind it. So our token's called Trust. So you're putting your trust into things. So it's like, I put my trust into this book, and I put my trust into the fact that MetaMask is a good wallet, or I put my trust into this AI agent. And you put the trust in, and then you get the tokens of that thing back. And so like every single thing in Intuition gets a decentralized identifier and a token. So everything from not like, people think of identity, they think of the identities of people. It's like, no, everything has an identity. It doesn't have a DID yet or a token, but like, let's give everything a token. So the word trustworthy, that has a token. My phone has a DID and a token now. Like quite literally every concept in the world gets a DID and a token, and that's how we know who owns what data, is who holds tokens of what data. And now, so like, to get the tokens of the data, you got to deposit your trust into those things, and then you get back those respective tokens of whatever that is that you're interacting with. And now we know who owns what data. And so now, as that data is interacted with, as people create more data, or people pay a fee in trust to query the data, we can flow those revenues to the people who own the ownership of the data that gets traversed. So let's say, if you're in some sort of AI platform, it shows you like the tokens it's using to say, hey, you've consumed 10,000 tokens. Well, imagine those are trust tokens. You're consuming the trust tokens and you're paying them. Sure, some go to like the company running the model, but then some can go to the people who created the data that gets traversed through your query. So like you said before, how do I know where this data is even coming from? Like the AI could just be making it up. Like now we know exactly where the data is coming from. And not only can we give you that source, and we have, because we have the verifiable attribution, but we can give the money to the people who created that data in this very fluid programmatic way. So that's kind of the purpose of the trust token.
Nice, nice. And then do you guys have any particular use cases in intuition system that you could give as like an specific example that maybe you're excited about or that you think is a really good example of some exciting stuff happening in your guys' ecosystem? What would you highlight if you could?
Yeah, I'll highlight kind of our biggest thing because it kind of is encapsulating of quite a number of different things. So the flow that we are working towards is there's what like one general flow, and we can think of it, that flow as I just want to prompt an agent and have it do stuff on my behalf in like the right way. So let's say the example I like to give here is booking a dinner reservation. So I want to say to my agent without providing a huge prompt, book me a dinner reservation. That's it. That's the whole prompt. I don't want to say like anything else. I don't want to. That's it. Just book me dinner reservation. So step one is the agent needs to know something about me. You need like people identity. So that goes back to like my preferences, my attributes, my social graph, their preferences, their attributes. So whichever interface I'm interacting with, it could be OpenAI, it could be Anthropic, it could be Intuition Chat, whatever. I want it to know about me, and so it says, okay, I know that you like sushi, and you trust this person in the context of sushi, and this person likes this sushi restaurant in your area. Now you get a very personalized response, as opposed to like it doing like a Google search or whatever it's doing and being like, what's the best rated stuff as per Yelp that maybe you like. It's like, oh no, trust all the whole way. Like you trust this thing. It's like a trust graph. So you trust this guy, he trusts this thing. So I'm going to recommend you this. So now you get a way more personalized, better response than you would otherwise get. So that's kind of one of the things that we've built. Actually, it was online on base, and we're migrating to our own network right now, so it was offline for a little bit. But the personalized AI chat it'll be back online today. So if you want to test it out, you can test it out. Also, if you're a developer, the MCP server is open source, so you can integrate intuition knowledge graph personalization into any AI thing you're building, which I think is pretty cool. So that's the first part of that flow. The second part of the flow is where we're partnering with everyone, which is there's a lot of agent launch pads. There's a lot of people trying to build like agent scoring and agent registries, because what I think people see emerging is this coordinating agentic swarm where each agent is good at its own specific thing. And so if I fire off the, hey, book me a dinner reservation prompt, I want that to get routed to the right agent for the job. So which agent does this get routed to? Now you need agent identity and reputation and context and metadata. Like, where does that live? In Google? Hopefully not. Like, it's got to live somewhere. And all these companies are like, hey, we don't want to build the infrastructure to do the identity reputation piece. So now we're acting as like the agent registry. So now you can find kind of the right agent for the job. Final step of the flow is like the agent needs to book a dinner reservation. Which platform does it use? Does it do a Google search and get phished and lose your crypto or your credit card info? Hopefully not. And so now like you need platform identity and reputation. Where does that live? Something that looks like intuition. So the end state is you can just your internet experience is way more frictionless. You can say anything. You can say, hey, give me what book should I read next? Book me a dinner reservation, book me a flight, do this thing, and with way less friction, you just get a very good output.
Yeah, the whole AI agent experience is going to be a lot of fun. I think the key word there is the friction, being able to make it frictionless and abstract away, I think, a lot of those touch points that will make it difficult initially. But I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be something that's very life changing. I think for a lot of people, just going to make things so much more efficient. Like, can you imagine being able to actually talk to your voice assistant and trust that they can do a simple task? Like, it's not like we haven't had Siri for a long time or Alexa. It's just, they're so dull. It's going to be so cool when they can actually like do something for you. And it's like, wow, this is actually good.
100%. Yeah, and I think we're close, and I think the world's going to look very different in a couple years. I think we're just spending too much time online right now. And I think we can spend less time online. And I think the agentic wave is going to allow us to do that, because you're not going to, I think user interfaces are going to like largely go away. You're just going to be talking to the agent. I don't want to have to go to Uniswap to do the swap. I want to say, hey, swap me USD to ETH and give me, here's my slippage, just do it. And if I have confidence that it's going to do it right and like not lose my money, of course I'm going to just talk to my AI agent on my phone and just be like, do the swap now, as opposed to like this concept of like us doing this. Like that's so wild. Like we're going to look back and think like, oh my god, these primitive apes were like going like this on their phones. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think as this stuff gets better and better, the future is going to be voice. And I think we'll get away from a lot of the handhelds. I think it'll actually just completely disappear. I think everything will either be wearable or fairly integrated or just kind of in our immediate surroundings, right? Like with IoT, being able to take everything off yourself and be handless. I think it's just, a better future. And hopefully we get outside more. I'm the last person that should talk about that doing a podcast for a living. But maybe I'll be able to do it outside or something.
I love the computers, but this Apple philosophy has really it's always stuck with me, because I didn't get it. I was like, Apple, stop scamming people with new products. Like, why do you need the watch? Why do you need the iPad? Why do you need the like? You got like all these different products. They all do the same thing. Like, I don't need the watch because I got the phone. Like, I don't need the phone because I got the laptop. I don't need the iPad, whatever. And I forget where I read this, but they were like, we want to give you the minimal tech required for the job. Like, we want to be as minimally invasive in your life as possible. So if at this point in time all you need is the watch, you should just be using the watch. You shouldn't be inundated with like the big phone. Like, and if you do need the big thing, then okay, then you can use that. But you should be like, we want to get out of your way. We just want you to be able to do the things you want to do with as minimal tech as possible. And I was like that really resonated with me. And like I think that's the goal, is the tech will still like will get more and more useful, but it'll be less and less invasive over time. And maybe it's just like a eye implant, and you just like it's augmented reality everywhere. And you're just seeing, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be crazy.
Absolutely. It is going to be wild, an exciting time for us to exist on this little planet. Awesome, Billy. This has been really great. To start wrapping up the episode, would love to know about your guys' roadmap. What do you guys have coming up on the horizon here the rest of 2025? Any key important updates or announcements you think users should be aware of? And then at the same time, you guys going to be out and about this fall? Any events, conferences, engagements where people can maybe meet up and also learn about intuition?
Yeah, I don't know when this is coming out, but if it makes it out there in time, we got a coinless sale going on for 2 more days. So you got 2 days if you want to buy the trust token. It's going to be the last time pre-TGE that you'll be able to get exposure. So you got a couple hours. You got like 36 hours, I guess, to get into that if you are listening immediately right now, which I assume you're not. And then we'll be at Korea Blockchain Week. We'll be at Token 2049. We always go to ETH Denver, so we'll be at ETH Denver. We'll be at Dev Connect. So we'll definitely be kind of all over the place. And if you want to meet up in person, happy to do that. Stuff coming for us. So the mainnet of our network will go live at the same time as our TGE. TGE is currently slated around like October 15th. Production version of the protocol launches along with that. Bunch of cool applications launching. New developer experience coming online probably like the next week or two. Like, our docs are just very outdated because we've been updating the protocol so fast. So if you're a developer, highly suggest hopping in Discord in the developers channel and just like immersing yourself, because there's a lot of people who like came in once and then never left. Like, it's really hard to look away once you see it, because you can build like a lot of really cool stuff with this. So we're going to be putting out products. The community will keep putting out products. And so like the intuition ecosystem is really, it hasn't even started yet, because all of it's on our test net right now, but the intuition ecosystem like will start when we kind of go to mainnet, and that's like inning one. So what's to come? Kind of everything. And what feels really good is the infrastructure is about to be laid, and now it's going to become more of like a building of products on top of this thing game, which, I could rant about this cool infrastructure all day, but 99% of the world is not going to understand it until they can like click the buttons. So like there will be hopefully like very nice, easy to click buttons soon. So everyone can make sense of this a little bit more easily.
Gotcha. And then where can people go to learn more about intuition? Do you guys have community on Discord or Telegram, socials, website documentation? Where would you send people?
Yeah, go to our website, intuition.systems. There's links to everything from there, from protocol white paper to token white paper to developer docs to links to our portal where you can start interacting with the knowledge graph, seeing the stuff in action. All of it's on our website. Our main socials are Twitter and Discord. So Twitter is at 0x intuition because intuition was taken. And then Discord is 0x intuition as well because intuition was taken. So yeah, if you're interested in chatting with people, give us a follow on Twitter. You will experience the Intuition Army. If you want to get like more immersed, Discord's the place to start talking with everyone. And yeah, just be on the lookout for all the cool stuff that's about to come.
Awesome, man. Well, Billy, I appreciate the time today. Again, it's been great having this conversation about intuition. Data is a very iffy thing today, data and privacy and the ways that we integrate it. And I think intuition is going to be doing some great things here in the near future and helping to solve that and to create some really cool use cases and integration. So keep me up to date on everything as you guys continue to do new and exciting things over the course of the year. Would love to have you back on for a part 2 at some point. If we're lucky enough, maybe we can meet up in person and do something in person as well for an episode. So definitely keep me posted and take care, man. We'll talk again soon.
That sounds great. And yeah, really appreciate you having me on. This was great. And let's make it happen again soon.